Snowflakes fall like sugar from the sky. Cigarette smoke circles round tired eyes. Kids with dreams as big as the moon hope Santa finds them sometime soon. Oh, Christmas in the damn hood, where hope glows, though nothing's good. Candles flicker on windowsills, warm hearts despite the chills. Granny's knitting by the old wood stove, Dad is fixing up the best he knows. Mama's singing carols clear and sweet, neighbors gather down the street. Oh, Christmas in the damn hood, where hope glows, though nothing's good. Candles flicker on windowsills, warm hearts despite the chills. Granny's knitting by the old wood stove, Dad is fixing up the best he knows. Mama's singing carols clear and sweet, neighbors gather down the street. Oh, Christmas in the damn hood, where hope glows, though nothing's good. Candles flicker on windowsills, warm hearts despite the chills. Skating on a frozen concrete pond, laughing loud as the nights get long. No silver bells or golden spires, but we got dreams that fuel our fires. Midnight comes with a church's chime, we're holding hands in the absence of time. Lanterns lit with a hopeful glow in this place of ice, but hearts that know. Midnight comes with a church's chime, we're holding hands in the absence of time. Lanterns lit with a hopeful glow in this place of ice, but hearts that know. Midnight comes with a church's chime,
we're holding hands in the absence of time.
Lanterns lit with a hopeful glow in this place of ice, but hearts that know. Midnight comes with a church's chime, we're holding hands in the absence of time. Lanterns lit with a hopeful glow in this place of ice, but hearts that know. Midnight comes with a church's chime, we're holding hands in the absence of time. Lanterns lit with a hopeful glow in this place of ice, but hearts that know. Midnight.
donkey balls surround you. They're coming out to get you. Can you get away? Can you get away? Probably not. Fear the donkey balls as they approach you. They might just choke you. What can you do? Fear the donkey balls as they approach you. They might just choke you. What can you do? Donkey balls surround you. They're coming out to get you. Can you get away? Can you get away? Probably not. Fear the donkey balls as they approach you. They might just choke you. What can you do?
He would be so scared to see me.
Everybody thinks we was doing this shit, doxing motherfuckers. Nah, they came at us first.
I got a fire raging in my front yard.
Oh, why did you set your front yard on fire? Are you drinking again?
Slacking off the podcast. Fuck your teams, our boss. Because God's authorities. Slacking off the podcast. Fuck your team, our boss. You call them God's authorities.
Slacking off the podcast.
All right, everybody, welcome back to Smacking Off the Podcast.
Hello.
How you doing, Doc?
How you doing? I think our cast members Ed and Nikki. Are you on here, Doug? And we're also here with our producer Doug Phillips and probably our cast members Sean Devine. Guys, I hope y'all having a great day on this exciting dawn of the first round of the first 12-team playoff.
Oh, I'm excited.
I'm jacked.
This is jacked. Wow. yeah. I'm sure. What's that, Doug?
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Yep.
Yeah, I don't know. It was fucking with me at first. It was.
We really need to get a sponsorship by Verizon.
Or by somebody. Dole Hargrove Construction. I'm for that one.
Can you hear me now? Can you hear
Yes,
me?
we
No,
can.
I can't hear you, Nikki.
So here we are, man, on the dawn of our first 12-team playoff. We got all the fun and excitement in the whole world. I'm just glad and welcome to all of our viewers tonight. I'm so glad y'all joined us. And Doug, I mean, I'm just touring the hill like I told them, like a West Virginia tomato can, man. Are you all the talk that's been that Clemson fell off because they don't because they didn't do it much NIL, they didn't do the transfer portal. Here in Clemson is the first 12-team playoff.
Yeah, they're
And
there
getting portal.
And now they're hitting the portal. So
they got 2 players now. 2.
That's a lot.
That's
a lot from
yeah.
Clemson.
Like when he signed the first one, I kind of thought, okay, maybe he's just going to test the waters.
We really should have had Landon Beeman on to find out what the fuck's going on, because I know
think
Landon's going to be blindsided by this.
Dabo's going to probably try to save face by saying it's not the foundation of our program.
Well, that's what I thought with him signing 1. I thought he was going to do 1 just to show, okay, I'm open to it, but I'm not filling my roster. with all portal players. But now he signed another one within 24 hours.
Well, look, guys, looks like we have a guest tonight. Looks like we've got Bruce Martinez. What's up, Bruce?
Hey, Bruce.
Hey, Bruce.
Good to see everyone and hear everyone.
Yeah.
And we've got Mr. Sean Devine who's just popped in.
And Sean Devine.
Everyone hear me?
Can you hear me now?
Yeah. So yeah, it's a 200% increase for portal usage for Clemson. Congrats.
Crazy.
Well, it's an infinite increase. It's
In
the words of Wolf of Wall Street, those are rookie numbers. You got to pump those numbers up.
Well, I mean, he's done 2 within 24 hours. I think he is.
I'm just happy they finally did it. I'm happy for them.
Me too.
You know what we need to do, Sean? We need to bring on Dane and Landon and figure this shit out.
Yeah, that's true.
Invite them. You can go to the chat and invite them.
I mean, they were telling us for years that it would never ever happen, and what changed overnight?
I don't know.
Maybe it's getting a little taste of like, wow, we got in the playoffs and we really shouldn't be here, but we're here. Maybe I need to start taking this shit seriously and figure out how to fucking make this thing go.
Yeah, I mean,
he spoke to God, and God sent him these players.
Yeah, that's.
I mean, that's literally how it's going to come out.
I think he realizes he's a 12-point underdog going into Austin, and he probably doesn't quite have the horses that he needs.
Yeah, I can see that. But on the other hand, Texas has shown that they're vulnerable to a team that can play a little bit of defense and control the clock. Klubnik's been a better runner and a better decision maker this year. They have the ingredients of a team that can beat Texas, in my opinion.
Well, I think the formula is similar to the ACC champ. They better, if they have any chance to win that game, they better jump on them early like they did SMU, because SMU, that game had 5 more minutes. See ya.
Yeah. Now,
I don't know if they'll be able to jump on them like they did.
I don't think so either, Nikki.
No.
No, they got to grind it. They're gonna have to grind it.
I feel like SMU.
How can they grind it, Ed, when they don't have the O-line or D-line to play that style of game with Texas?
I think they got the O-line for it. I don't think they got the D-line for it, though.
Not after losing that one lineman to the knee. That's a big loss.
That's true. But big boy football is what's going to be played here. What's that, Doug?
I listened to people today on sports radio. More people than I 2 or 3 people over the course of the day say that Clemson's got what it takes to beat Texas, and I don't see it. I just don't fucking see it.
I think teams that back in are always dangerous.
But are these fans?
Not Austin, Ed.
Ed's going with the chip in a chair theory. You got a chip, you got a chair, you got a chance.
I mean, he's right, but he's absolutely right. But I just don't. I don't know. I don't feel this Clemson beating Texas thing. I ain't feeling it.
I don't either.
If I see it happen, I'll say I was wrong, but I don't see it.
What I'm seeing is Georgia fans are the ones that are like, "Oh no, Clemson's going to destroy him." I really feel it's because they are worried to play him a third time. It's kind of like them not wanting Bama in the playoffs. Shit, we can't meet up with them again.
I mean, I completely agree. I mean, if you look at Texas, still has to be kicking themselves about that first half in the SEC championship. You had what, 200 and some odd yards to Georgia's, and you're losing or only up a field goal. I can't remember. It's 6-3 at halftime, and you're basically dominating the stat sheet, and you got nothing to show for it.
Yeah, I was telling my wife we were watching that, and I was like, this is bad news for Texas because, I mean, Georgia's pretty much at home, and you played as good as you can play, and you're not winning very much. I mean, Georgia's going to have they're going to have a second half that's. I mean, I just thought it was bad news. I really did.
Yeah, I mean, you don't want to let a team like Georgia hang around. They just seem to figure out ways. That's tribute to Kirby Smart and his staff. They figure out a way to get it done, by however it takes, you know.
Well, I think they
Now,
started playing Gunner before now.
Bruce, you think Clemson has any chance in this game?
No. I
Hey,
don't.
let's not jump directly into this game. We'll go down the line, but don't pick on it, Bruce. But
I'll hold my word.
no, just don't give me a score. That's all. We know how
No,
you
I
feel,
won't.
and y'all know how I feel. But we're getting there. So let's go ahead and jump in. We got one game Friday night, and I like that. I really 4 games in one day would have been overkill. No way to put 2 games on Friday because you got a work schedule, and you throw one in at night, and this is a good start to this.
If you get 4 games
playoff.
in one day, 4 games in one day, you're gonna have to have 2 at the same time or a little bit of overlap. That works. That works in the baseball playoffs because nobody's watching. But
yeah, 3 games on a Saturday is great. 1 game Friday night, perfect.
Except
Sean, you'd rather played this game on Saturday, wouldn't you?
Yeah, I would have preferred to be on one of the Saturday slots personally, but
why?
Just tradition. I like playing on Saturdays. That's
that's what they do.
It gives you an extra day rest.
What's that?
It gives you an extra day rest, right?
Well, we got to win the game first.
Well,
all right, so let's talk about this series, Sean, because I know you're the guy to ask about this.
Well, Notre Dame leads the series, 23 wins, 5 losses, and a tie. The teams haven't played since 1991. Notre Dame hasn't lost to Indiana since, I believe, the 1950s.
Shit.
And really, it's not really much of a rivalry per se because they haven't played in, 33 years?
Yeah.
It's Indiana doesn't really consider us a rival. We don't really consider them a rival, even though we're in the same state, because we don't play very often in football. We both just like Purdue because we both play Purdue just about every year. But Indiana is the basketball school in the state, with their great history, and Notre Dame's the football school. So, that's kind of the story. Supposedly, it's good for the Hoosiers and their fans. They're not too far away to drive up if they want to buy the exorbitantly overpriced tickets on the secondary market. The weather's not going to be a factor because both teams play outdoors in that kind of weather. So it's going to be a great game. I think Cignetti will have the Hoosiers more than prepared to play, and it's going to be a great challenge for Marcus Freeman and his staff. I think it's going to be a great game.
I really hope it snows because that just makes for such great TV.
There is a 70% chance for snow flurries, Ed.
Hell yeah.
So let me fuck with Ed a little bit here, and I'm going to say that I'd made a post earlier, and I said there's some teams that probably shouldn't be in this playoff. I'm an 18 playoff guy, but 12 teams is better than 4 teams in my opinion. Indiana is the odd team out in my opinion. This is a team that hasn't beat anybody, and I don't see this game being close. I just don't.
But wait, the one argument for Indiana being in, and granted they didn't play very well at Ohio State, but they had special teams mistakes that cost them some points. But they beat the crap out of most of the teams they played.
They did, but they didn't. But they didn't play anybody.
But they showed.
It's cool to do that, but when you look at the resume, they didn't beat anybody. And Notre Dame isn't anybody, so we got a problem for Indiana. In my opinion, Notre Dame is going to roll over this team. I don't know what the line is. I'm sure Sean can turn me on to that, but Notre Dame's covering the line. I'm going to go ahead and say that.
Current line, Doug, is Notre Dame is -7.
That's not a lot of points.
It's not. Notre Dame covers the line twice.
Well, we need to win this game. We're on a big game kind of a losing streak, and that's been publicized by numerous outlets. I don't have to get into it. The last big win was the 1994 Cotton Bowl. So, this is a really big game for Marcus Freeman. He's gotten his paper now. He's signed on for an additional 4 years. So it's time to win a big game.
I don't know what would have to happen in my mind for Indiana to win this game. I think Notre Dame would have to play a terrible game and turn the ball over.
I don't think Indiana has enough guys in the trenches to win the game. I think they're going to make it competitive. Notre Dame's generally in control throughout. Indiana comes back, makes it competitive, but no, I don't see them beating Notre Dame.
I think the weather is if it is snow flurries and it is windy, I think that's to the benefit of Notre Dame and not Indiana, because I think if temperatures, particularly wind, is more benign, Indiana can throw the ball a little bit. They have a nice passing attack, versus them trying to line up and play smash mouth football against Notre Dame. That benefits us, I think.
Well, I think it benefits you, dude. I think that y'all crush them. If they try to play Notre Dame's game, they lose for sure, Sean.
I mean, because we're going to roll essentially 3 running backs at you. We're going to roll, Jeremiah Love and Jadarian Price at the running back position. And then Riley Leonard is an accomplished runner himself at the quarterback position. So, and the offensive line was I believe a semifinalist for the Joe Moore Award. So, if it's smash mouth old school football, that benefits Notre Dame. If it's a air it out passing game, well, that will benefit Indiana.
That's what I think. I think that Indiana has to take lots of shots on every possession, and they have to get lucky and actually convert some of those. They have to create turnovers, and they have to play special teams on a whole lot higher level than they did against Ohio State to beat Notre Dame. Now, if they do all those phases, they can win the game, but that would mean a complete collapse on Notre Dame's part, and I don't believe that's going to happen. Now, what about you, Bruce? What do you got on this?
I just think the Indiana coach can be a lightning rod at times. And he's come out before games and have said things that kind of put his players back to the wall, have them come out and play better. And I just think I wouldn't put him past them to do that against Notre Dame, because that might be the only thing they have. So I'm just looking at the intangibles, because I think all these teams right now in this level, anyone can win. And that's the beauty of what I like and what I'm seeing. So I can't put anyone out totally 100%, but I can't eliminate them. You know what I mean? It's just they're there for a reason. All 12 teams. So I just leave it open at that.
Guys, I don't know if y'all noticed, but Nikki's avatar is behind that. What is that? The abominable snowman?
Yes.
And I kind of like the abominable snowman. So what do you got on it, Nikki?
Well, I mean, of course, you guys kind of know who I'm going for, Notre Dame. I don't think Indiana has a chance. I think they're going to come out pretty strong and fight. And by the half, Notre Dame runs away with it. I just don't think they have the manpower. They don't have that quality of players. We've seen it against Ohio State. They just don't have that strong, team to go up against a team like Notre Dame.
So I'm just going to throw this out there and go ahead and get this rolling. Give me Notre Dame 31, Indiana 17.
Okay.
Hell yeah, you stole my score, Doug. That's what I was looking at, but I got to do different than you. So I'm going to say 34-20 Notre Dame.
Yeah, I already said 33-20.
Oh, so it ends at 33-20. Now, where do you think that Notre Dame dominates on this end?
Line of scrimmage. Indiana is not to be able to slow down the Notre Dame running game, and they're not going to be able to run the ball that they've been running against most teams.
I can see that. And then, what's your pick on it, Sean?
I have Notre Dame 38, Indiana 27.
Hell yeah, that's all American if I ever heard it. And you, Bruce, what do you got on this bad boy?
42-30.
Ow!
Notre Dame.
Nikki, did you throw a score out?
No, I got 37-14 Notre Dame.
Oh, I like that.
I'd really like that. That'd be great.
Uh-huh.
Hell yeah.
I haven't been too
make it
off
happen.
on Notre Dame this season. I've been pretty on with them. So
Hell yeah.
Yeah,
I hope it follows through.
All right.
That's because
So,
Notre Dame has gotten better.
so I heard there's a SMU resurgence. This is a team that got the fuck. They're the only team that ever got the fucking death penalty for paying players.
And now they get to do it.
And now
everybody
it's
can
legal.
pay players.
And here we go, full circle. And now we're back paying players legally.
Well, hell yeah.
So I just want to say that, Kyle Golick, Chris Scully, they're not going to like it if SMU goes up and beats Penn State in Happy Valley. They're not going to like that shit. Sean, tell us why it's going to happen.
I wish I could say it's going to happen, but I don't think it's going to happen. I think we saw a lot out of Penn State in the Big Ten title game, even though they lost. But I was waiting for a game where their offense would come to life, and it really did in that game. Surprisingly, their defense let them down, which had basically won them a lot of games. But I just can't see SMU going into State College. It's going to be cold. It's going to be loud and raucous. It's a tall task for SMU. The line right now is
like
Penn
11.
State minus 8.5.
Oh, it's 8.5. Wow.
And I think Penn State not only covers that, I think they win probably by 20. Like 41-20, something like that. I just don't.
No.
I don't see. I'd love for SMU to pull the upset. I just cannot see it. I cannot see it.
I can.
All right, bring it
We
down.
know they don't do particularly well in cold weather. We saw that last year against Boston College up in Boston when it was cold and drizzly and snowy. Same kind of temperatures at State College. So
what's your only hope, Sean? Is it Franklin's record in these big games like this?
Yeah, a little bit of that, and they need Drew Aller to go back to being bad Drew Aller like he was kind of early in the season, making mistakes. But the other game, Penn State should dominate both lines of scrimmage here, particularly when they have the ball in the offense. And the SMU is going to get a steady diet of Katron Allen, and that other amazing running back they have. His name is
But we
escaping.
heard Clemson was going to
Nicholas
dominate.
Singleton.
Penn State's O-line is vastly superior to Clemson.
Yeah, but we've watched this SMU team adjust to come back, and they might start out slow, but they adjust and they figure out a way.
I certainly hope they do. That would be awesome. I would love for SMU to win the game.
I can't see SMU going past the next round, but
I think if they get past this game, they have a great shot at winning.
Oh, absolutely. They go against Boise if they win this game, right?
That would be a contrast to styles right there.
I think SMU beats. I think SMU beats Boise.
Yeah,
I think they could be.
I
thought they were
if they're there.
I think this is a great path for the winner of this Penn State SMU game, to be honest with you.
Oh yeah, then you get the advantages in that. So this is where the first round of the 12-team playoff is great. Is these are campus games. They're on it's at Penn State. This isn't a neutral site, so the advantages of that can really weigh in here. So the seeding for the first round teams is critical, so you can get these cold weather games at places like Happy Valley against Penn State, and it'll be huge. The ratings will be massive, but that's going to be tough for SMU. And I think
that is truly going to be a hostile environment. That is going to be 106,000 state Penn State fans going nuts. I don't think SMU will represent very well traveling wise.
I think they can.
I don't think they fill up 1/32 of that stadium.
And you know what? I can't even be sad if they lose because we had expectations that we didn't think were going to happen. We seen them making it to the SEC or the ACC championship, but we didn't really see them going into the playoffs.
I think this is
Dawn and I talked about that.
I think this is a great step in the right direction. I don't think SMU is going away just because they lose this. If they lose this game, I mean, they have dumped hundreds of millions of dollars into their athletics
and
program,
continuing to just do more.
So they're not going to go away just because they might lose this game.
Hell yeah, I think it's just starting something.
But
let's go ahead and get some scores in here, man.
Well, I already said 41-26 Penn State. Now, this is a big game for Penn State because you lose, you go home. But it's not the same type of Franklin failing to beat a team that's ranked higher. So I don't think he blows it. And I don't think the SMU defense can stop Penn State.
But they haven't had a problem scoring. They put up the numbers.
41-26 Penn State.
Oh.
Hell yeah. Well, I think it's going to be a crazy game. And Penn State's going to be forced to score, but I believe they do it and they win 41-40.
I got 42-38, and I'm going SMU. Something's going to happen.
Nikki, I hope you're right.
The Angels will be in the end zone.
I got Penn State 41-20. I'm not happy about it.
What about you,
Bruce, did you pick on this?
No, not yet. I've got my money on Penn. We played them. They're grinders. They're physical. They got really good running backs. I just see Penn just grinding MSU to pulp. So I'm sorry, Nick. Love you.
That's all right.
Yeah.
Hey, I think it's ready to be.
Yeah, I put it in the 40 point range because when they get in the roll, they go for blood and they hang it on you. So no, Penn will.
I got to go with Nikki here. I'm not going to change my view on this. Franklin figures out how to lose this game. I'm going 28 SMU, 24 Penn State.
I hope Nikki and Doug are right.
Yeah,
really
so do I.
I just don't see SMU have the defense to do it.
Yeah.
That's their weak.
They just need some help from Franklin, and he's going to give it.
Well, Franklin's more than capable of that, Doug. That's not a. he could be their own worst enemy. So no, I'm agreeing with you.
Yeah.
All right, so let's take a commercial and we're going to come back and do 2 more games, right?
Hallelujah.
Go to smackology.42web.io and click our Fans Edge link for instant savings on awesome products.
Hey, here comes a donkey ball. Here they come, Your team sucks, donkey balls. Bouncing, 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 here they come. Open your mouth and get a big bunch. Suck them, suck them, suck them, suck them, suck them, suck them, suck them.
Watch Your Team Sucks Donkey Balls live every Tuesday at 9 p.m. Eastern.
Oh, these sneakers rock. Wait, are you sure that you trust this website? It looks messy and totally unsecured. It looks like a scam. But it's all different if you use ClearVPN, the first effortless VPN solution for a personalized and secure online experience. ClearVPN, the only VPN you need, because it clearly understands you.
You're listening to the Smacking Off the podcast.
I followed that.
Brother Kyle.
All right, guys. We're back. Now that commercial got me excited because it made me think of when I realized that online commerce could be worth doing, because I said I really wish I had a pair of Adidas shoes in UK colors that were low cut and suede, and bam, I went on a website. I could build my shoe any way I wanted.
It's like it's like magic, man. The web is, isn't it?
Yeah, and they sent that motherfucker right to my crib. It was amazing.
Right. So that means, like, yeah, your dreams
Support
can
our
come
sponsors.
true.
That's right. Support our sponsors, and they'll make yours come true as well.
That's right. And if they don't, just let us know, and we'll fucking kick those motherfuckers to the curb.
Yeah, we'll smack them. Yeah,
Yeah. All right. We got a shit. I'm sure there's another game here somewhere. Oh, Clemson Dane.
Man.
Clemson Dane. He's got real excitement right now, Doug. I mean, everything has been talked between him and Landon. That's why we tried to invite him from the chat a few minutes ago. Maybe they'll join us. But
I think Dane's at work, and I don't know about Landon, but Dane's at work. I think if Dane knew that if Landon knew that Dane was coming on, I think Landon would be there. But
oh yeah, so he basically wrote Clemson off and said since they didn't have any portal players, that they was going to fall off and all this, but unfortunately, a team we all love, Alabama, and that Landon loves, didn't make it. And here Clemson is, for better or for worse.
All right, so let me give a shout out to Jen Chavez, who commented earlier. It didn't show up in our chat here, but it was on the video. It was in the Smacking Off group. She said that Texas hasn't played anybody either, and I'm guessing that's when I said that Indiana has played nobody. And she's correct. Texas has played some teams, but the only team they've really played is Georgia, and they're 0-2.
Goodness.
Well, they played and beat Michigan in it. Oh, never mind. That really wasn't that good of a win.
They played teams.
Come on, Sean. Don't fuck with Ed. Ed's shaky tonight.
Wait a minute. Michigan. Michigan has a winning record. It's a down year. But Texas did beat us decisively, so you got to give them that.
And that would be like me saying that Texas beat Florida and we had a down year, and we had a winning record. No.
So no. I think that Texas beats Clemson, and I still don't think they will have beaten anybody.
Yeah, I think
I like that.
Yeah.
What you're saying, Doug, is the status quo, right?
Yeah.
Well, this is what Texas fans are saying in all of the smack groups. Oh, so we beat Clemson, and you're going to say, oh, we didn't play anyone again, or the ACC's down, they're nothing. Like, that's pretty much it.
Down, they really are.
Yeah, and then on top of it, I have Georgia fans talking about they're complaining the ACC's down, they're weak. Even if you beat them, it's nothing. But just a few weeks ago, they were talking about Georgia Tech being a top-tier team. So I'm not sure if they really know what's good and bad.
So do y'all want to know how far the ACC is down? Sean, how many ACC teams did Notre Dame play?
What did we play? 5, I believe.
Mm-hmm. Well, what was Notre Dame's hardest game?
Louisville.
No. It wasn't. It was Northern Illinois.
Well, I don't think they're in the ACC. They're in the MAC, aren't they?
Exactly. No, I didn't mean out of the ACC games. I just meant out of all the games.
Oh, yeah. Well, the crazy thing is it's such an anomaly when we lose to Northern, and Northern finishes middle of the pack. I think they at least made a bowl game in the MAC. But then we just absolutely fist stomped a MAC team that made it to the conference championship game. They ended up losing, but it's just that's such a strange. I really attribute it to like the old Nick Saban. You're coming off the big win down at A&M, and guys are reading their press clippings and drinking that rat poison.
Sean, I've been watching longer than you have, but we've both been watching this long enough to know that game didn't have shit to do with Northern Illinois. It was all Notre Dame.
Yeah.
They fucked around. They fucked around, and by the time they found out, it was too late.
Yeah. I mean, and the recipe to win the game, sadly, was there. It was in the third quarter. They finally kind of, what I like to say, or old school, my old man, third quarter they finally pulled their head out of their ass, and they started using this guy by the name of Jeremiah Love, who's a pretty good running back. In fact, Pro Football Focus for their college rankings had him second to Ashton Jonty of Boise State. That's how good of a running back he is. So he scores a touchdown, and Notre Dame is leading 14-13. And then inconspicuous, let's not use him anymore. We won't go back. We won't call his number again. And it's like you just found the recipe that works, and then you're not. Well, no, we're going to go back to the usual, fiddle fart around kind of stuff that wasn't working, because you're still thinking in the late third quarter. Well, it's just Northern. They're eventually going to quit and go away. No, they were there to play 60 minutes of football.
Absolutely, they could taste blood. That they made it, into the fourth quarter with a chance to win. It's
because at
you
the
were
time
playing
in that early
any team you fuck around that long, any
Yeah.
team, it doesn't matter. They can beat you. And like I was telling my wife one time, we were watching a game, and I think it was Alabama. I think Alabama ended up winning the game, but I said, it don't fucking matter when there's one fucking drive left. It don't matter how much better one team is than the other when one team only has to do one thing to fucking win the game.
But, in retrospect, that's the best thing that happened to Notre Dame, because they have been not fucking around since that game at all.
I think the two great things that came out of the game. One is Coach Freeman said, after that game, every game was a playoff game, because right after that game, all the pundits, well, now Notre Dame has to go 11-1, otherwise they don't make the playoff. And yet we did that. People were still, bitching and complaining, about it. But number two, the best thing that came out of it was, the offensive coordinator kind of fixing, building the airplane in flight of the passing capabilities of one Riley Leonard, who has gotten better each game. So now he's a lot more of a confident and competent passer than he was at the beginning of the year. I mean,
yeah, I agree with you.
You look at, he barely threw the ball at all against A&M. Maybe 20 pass attempts at most. He didn't throw the ball very much against Northern because, they tried it early in the game and he was wildly inaccurate, which that still scares me, by the way. He has gotten better.
Hey, Sean.
Yep.
Now, his first 4 games of the season, he looked really awful.
Awful passing the football. Absolutely.
I would just close my eyes and shake my head. But the last 6 games that I've watched, I've seen a mass improvement of him, both in confidence and in playing style.
Yeah, and I also say I think that Mike Denbrock, the offensive coordinator, who used to be at LSU, I wonder if they miss him by the way. But he has changed the passing scheme somewhat to complement Leonard versus asking him to do things that he can't do. And I think that's helped a lot because Notre Dame does not have the greatest wide receiving core per se of when you say specifically wide receivers. But what they do have, they have 2 really good tight ends. So you can run that 12 personnel with 2 tight ends on the field. One might block, one might go out to catch a pass. And that tight end has become Leonard's kind of safety blanket.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
I think it's excellent strategy too. And I know they take the tight ends and they might put one in motion and they'll do a deception where you think that they're going to follow the two tight ends because that would be now your strong side, and then they'll run off to the other side. And it's a beautiful little deception that I've seen Notre Dame do that I like. You know.
Oh, absolutely. And going back to this Texas, the other reason I think is Clemson really only has one receiver that you can trust, and that's Bryant Wesco. That dude is incredible. So if you're Texas, we're not going to let that guy beat us. Make Clemson beat us with somebody else other than Wesco, because that guy is dynamic.
So that leaves Moffa. Is he the guy that can beat Texas?
Well, I mean, the crazy thing about this game, if you go back, Georgia was Texas. Nobody's run on Texas this year except Georgia twice.
Yep.
And to me, that is the only way Clemson can stay in this game, maybe even have a chance. They have to be able to run Phil Moffa and get the running game going. If they can't run the ball, they are dead. They are absolutely.
They're going to run Klubnik too. I think they're going to run Klubnik too. I think the all stops are out. Protecting quarterback is off. I think they're going to have to run him as well in order to get, because otherwise, I mean, like you said, Texas across the front seven is outstanding, and
absolutely.
the middle linebacker, I don't know his name off the top of my head, but he's great at making reads. He's going to have to keep his mind busy and him blocked. They're going to run heavier packages. Since they only got one wide receiver, I can see three tight ends, one wide out, and a back kind of scheme going on. That's what the things you're going to have to do. And if you do that and you still don't match up man for man power wise against Texas, it's going to be a bad day.
Yeah, I mean, the great matchup is, I mentioned Brian Wesco for Clemson, but he's going to get matched up with the Thorpe Award winner and Jody Barron for Texas. So that's a great one-on-one battle that we can follow all night. And they've already highlighted the fact that Klubnik and Ewers went at it against each other in I think the Texas state championship game a few years back. Nikki probably remembers that.
Yep.
How did that go, Nikki?
Ewers took it. He dominated.
I thought it was Klubnik that won it.
Well, they went back and forth. They played each other 3 times in different types of championships, between the Texas State Championship, and then they played each other again in another championship in the state of Texas. The last season they went against each other. Ewers destroyed him.
Wow. Okay. So, I think that whichever quarterback plays better in this game, and let's be honest.
But it's not just them two.
Ewers didn't look great against Georgia. He didn't.
But it's not just them two. Like, Clemson has 2 other players that's played against Quinn, and one other player that played with him.
Well, one thing's for sure, Clemson can't afford to get down in this game. They have to either take the lead or keep it very close, especially throughout.
That's true.
Yeah, it's going to move slow.
If they keep it close, I could see Texas
ready.
What's that?
Go ahead, Ed.
Dabo's going to have his team ready and motivated. And while I already picked Texas 30-24, but I expect a pretty good game. And what Sean said is true. You were started off the season better than he's looked lately, and Sark isn't going to start Manning, but Manning could take over in this game if you were struggles.
Yeah, I think Doug could attest. I think Sark was on the Bama staff when Hurts wasn't having a great game, and they come out with Tua Tagovailoa in the second half, and the rest is history. I think Sark remembers that. If Ewers struggles, I agree with Ed. I wouldn't be surprised if we see Arch Manning sooner rather than later.
But I also don't a lot understand that Quinn got hurt and was playing injured. And I think he's finally getting back to healthy, but I think he's almost like shell-shocked.
His confidence could be an issue. Hey,
I think
is
his
anybody
confidence
watching
is a
this
little
NFL
rattled.
game? We just had a free kick for a field goal.
I saw that, 57 yards. It was awesome.
He's worried that he is going to get pulled for Arch. And I think that's in his head, because we've seen him mess up in games this season, and they pull him.
I think the rumor is, depending on how far Texas goes in the playoff, I think the rumor is that Ewers is going to hit the portal after Texas's last game, whenever that is. He doesn't appear to be quite NFL ready because he's kind of dropping on a lot of boards, mock draft boards. I would not be surprised to see him in another uniform next year. In college.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay, so let me throw this out real quick. I wasn't sure if you were right on that, Sean, about Sarkisian being the coordinator at Alabama.
Well, not so much coordinator. I just think he was with Alabama in some way, shape, or form.
No, I think he was in Atlanta at the time. He did come back, I think, the following season. I think Brian Daboll was the coordinator.
Yeah, but didn't he come in as a consultant and he kind of sat in the stands and watched things and didn't coach on the side?
Yeah, he did that in 2016. And then he ended up, and then Saban ran Lane Kiffin out, and then he made Sarkisian the offensive coordinator in the middle of the playoffs.
But we've
So
seen
Saban, that's interesting to me because Saban kind of brought him in, probably said, look, this is where you clean up your life or not, right? So rehabilitated him, brought him in as the offensive coordinator. Now we see Sarkisian take advantage of that, acted like a real gentleman since, and now he's got Texas and the CFP. I believe that's a great story of redemption.
But for that year, like I said, Sark was the coordinator in the Alabama-Clemson game, and Alabama lost in the national championship game. And then Sark, who was the offensive coordinator at Alabama, and he would have been in 2017, left and went to Atlanta, and then Daboll was hired.
Yeah.
Well, it says that Sark was on the staff for the 2020, so that was the Mac Jones. Okay, yeah, you're right. You're right.
The only thing I know about Sharkin is when he was at the UW and when he was at USC, the only thing I know his tendency is he's really reluctant to pull a quarterback, especially who got him there in essence, in yours. He's real reluctant to pull that unless he sees that there's no other choice that he has to do. So for him to Manning, I don't think that happens.
Manning's already going to get in the game at some point. So if he comes in hot, he can just leave him in there.
Yeah, he can. That's not Sharp's MO.
The one thing I can say from seeing Manning and Ewers, and this is just me, say what you will, but I mean, Bruce can attest to me being a bit of a quarterback whisperer. And when we went to that Oregon-Washington game, I said, man, that Justin Herbert's pretty special, isn't he? But the one thing,
and then Bruce said,
Bruce wasn't happy about that comment because
no, I did. I agree with him because
you did agree with me
over that game.
He came back from 14 points down twice in that game, if you remember. But the thing that I see that differentiates Manning and Ewers, Manning has a much better fluid throwing style than Ewers, the way he throws the football. Ewers has a very strange, it's compact, but it's a strange delivery that isn't always the most reliable. Whereas Manning has that classic looking Dan Marino, Dan Fouts kind of throwing motion, which leads to a better ball, in my opinion.
Yeah, he's like an ear passer, which is something they used to teach in youth football, was to hold the ball up high by your ear, right? And then you got a short stroke. It's quick to get rid of, but there's not a whole lot of heat behind it. Where the traditional style, I've got a little shoulder in it, and I can really make it sell, you know? And I've seen that too, and it's kind of awkward. Like he's got it up there, he's trying to protect it, and then it's kind of awkward, like he don't know that he really wants to get rid of it, and then he throws that little dart. And sometimes
it's got a little too much baseball wrist action to it. Ewers' ball, that is, versus Manning being tall up there, like you said, holding up by the ear, really getting the shoulder into it, getting some air under that ball. It's kind of like the difference.
Right.
Why, if you watch the NFL, like that's why Russell Wilson is starting for Pittsburgh versus Justin Fields. You know, Russ can get you the air under the ball and kind of drop it in a bucket versus a dart, you know, a line drive, which has, you know, opportunities for the defenders to bat it away, knock it down, et cetera, et cetera.
I agree. I would agree with you 100%. And that's similar to Klubnik. I think Klubnik's got great arm strength, right? So they have to they have to win the line of scrimmage on key downs and take their shots. That's what Clemson has to do. They have to keep the defense of Texas honest and take their own shots just to keep, they're going to have to show that they're willing to try it. And we know that they're going to be able to effectively cover it, but it doesn't matter as long as they don't turn it over. And this year, Clemson's been better with turnovers. So a real key for Clemson is to take their shots, keep Texas' defense on the heels. And if you're Clemson trying to defend Texas, they can come at it from so many angles. I believe it'd be, they can keep them befuddled. Texas has to do everything. They can't really sell on one thing, but if they don't dominate the line of scrimmage, they can't win.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, this is Clemson's, his third time the charm, third SEC opponent they're going to face this year. Do they finally win one, or they finish 0-3?
I'm afraid they finish 0-3.
I agree with you, Doug. I think they finish 0-3. Yeah. But I'm okay with it. They won their conference, and if we want the conference championship games to still have meaning, that's why they're in. And people, whether they rightly or wrongly like it or don't like it, otherwise you got to get rid of conference championship games,
which I think they should do.
I
really
do too, and I would personally go to 16 teams at this point.
Yeah, if you're going to do that, you go to 16 teams, and you've got a good set of games to replace these conference championship games with.
And then nobody gets a bye. Nobody gets a bye.
Right. Absolutely.
Yep.
All right. So how about this game, guys?
The game. The marquee game.
What's
you think Texas and Clemson's the marquee game?
No. The next game that Doug's going to bring up.
Oh, I ain't going to bring it up yet. Yeah. Who made their picks? I don't know who made their picks yet.
30-24 Texas.
What'd you say, Ed?
30-24 Texas.
Oh, I thought you called me a name.
That was earlier.
Okay.
What about you, Nikki? Who do you got?
I'm going Texas. I'm 34. I'm gonna give 20.
Hell yeah. What about you, Bruce? What you got on it?
20.
I would
34-20.
say 36-20 Texas.
Hell yeah. And Divine, what you got?
Texas 44, Clemson 17.
Wow. Damn it, Jim. Well, I have Clemson.
You're going it, Sean.
I'm going Texas 34, Clemson 10.
I almost did 9. But I'll be nice.
I got Clemson 14-13.
You got Clemson winning? You hear that, Dane? You hear that, Dane? You got an ally in here, motherfucker. You got an ally up in here.
Because really, the truth is, there's no way that can happen. Because if you believe there's any element of scripting to college football, you got to know that somehow that Texas and Georgia are going to meet again for a third time.
The Thrilla in Manila. Okay, maybe not, but we would love a third round. But they set the bracket up the wrong way, which is another argument for. They should be reseeding after these games. They're not, but that's another argument for today. But man, I want Texas, Georgia 3. Come on, give it to us.
It's unprecedented.
All right, so let me start this one by saying, "Fuck those Vols."
Lord have mercy, they're taking over Ohio.
They're taking over. Oh yeah, I heard about that.
The only way Texas Georgia 3 happens is if Georgia beats Notre Dame.
Yes,
I know.
So we don't.
That's why I'm saying I don't like the bracket, Ed.
You don't like the bracket.
I think Notre Dame will have a real shot against Georgia.
We got to beat Indiana first, Ed. One game at a time.
God damn it, Ed! You're trying to trip.
I know what you're trying to do, Ed, and I don't like it.
Go blue,
so
baby.
Guys, local
Where
radio
are they going? Where are they going? The toilet bowl?
The also red bowl.
All right, somebody just commented Neyland North. What does that even mean?
They're trying to say that Ohio Stadium is Neyland North.
They even
God damn it, Jen.
They
That's not
checked it
true.
on Google Maps. Like if you go on Google Maps to the stadium, it says Neyland North.
I didn't know the volunteer fans had enough computer savvy to do that sort of thing.
Oh, not just that. They learned that they could buy, the jukebox that are in all the bars. from their phones and computers, they can buy songs.
They
So
keep
they
playing
can
Rocky
play-
Top at all the Columbus bars.
Yeah, they have been playing Rocky Top for hours.
So tell me this. Does Tennessee and Ohio State have a history home and home?
Nope.
Nope.
Okay, so we're just going to call this Neyland North, and they've yet to win a fucking game up there?
They have played one time, Doug.
I
One time.
remember that game.
That was in a bowl game, though, right?
That was, I think, if memory serves,
Citrus Bowl.
Doug and
It was a
Bob
Citrus
and
Bowl.
Ed should remember this. Remember the old Comp USA Citrus Bowl?
Yep.
Yes.
That was years ago.
Yep. In 1996, Peyton Manning outdueled, here's a name for you I haven't heard in years, Bobby Hoying of Ohio State to the tune of 20-17 in the Comp USA Citrus Bowl in 1996. That is the only time.
Is that where that comment from Spurrier came from? You can't spell citrus without UT?
That's
Yeah, 'cause
right.
they-
Because in that time period, I think Tennessee went to like 5 Citrus Bowls in a 6-year period.
You
It
hear
really
that, Jen?
sucks.
Jen, you hear that shit? All right, go ahead.
And
I
then the
have
Eddie
to-
poetic
George was
justice
back
for
in that game.
Tennessee was Peyton Manning doesn't win the Heisman. He gets destroyed in the Orange Bowl by Nebraska. And then the next year, little old T. Martin wins the national championship for Tennessee. And T. Martin has a distinct acknowledgement of being one of the Brady Six. There were 6 quarterbacks selected in the 2000 NFL draft before Tom Brady. T. Martin was one of them.
Damn it! They picked T. Martin over Tom Brady. He was a pure option quarterback. I mean, his throwing motion. You want to talk about a throwing motion? T. Martin started from way back here, and it took about 2 seconds for him to get rid of it, and it looked like a punt. You know what I mean?
T.
But when
Martin was Jalen Milroe in like 25 years ago. It was either run or chuck that thing as far as you could and hope your guy comes under it.
oh, he had the guys though to do that, and
He did. He had some great receivers there at Tennessee for sure.
that's no doubt about that. But now we're here at a new day, and we're against Ohio State. And like you guys are saying, local radio is saying here on the Ohio side is that Tennessee fans has bought between 33 and 40% of the tickets at an average price of $250 a piece into the shoe. And and if you want to talk weather, Tennessee has played in some cold weather where they live in the mountains in Knoxville. I don't believe that's going to be that big of a factor. Actually, guys, I believe Tennessee is going to, much as I hate to admit this, is going to go into the shoe, and they are going to dominate Ohio State, and here's why. Now, I don't know if anybody's followed the travails of Ohio State's offensive line, but they lost their All-American left tackle. They shifted the left guard to left tackle. Then they moved their right tackle.
Bob, didn't they also lose their center?
And I was getting ready to get to that. So then the guy that was going to replace the other tackle moved to center, and then they got a freshman, I believe, at right tackle. No, at right guard. Yeah, they got a anyway you want to say it. They haven't had the same lineup on the field more than twice all season long on the offensive line. And guys,
that's a big problem. Big problem.
So what I'm hearing here, guys, is that days are numbered.
How are
If
they
he
gonna
doesn't
figure
win, or if he doesn't
Bruce,
get
Bruce beat me to it.
it's done.
Yeah, I mean,
God damn it, Bob.
Bruce beat me to it, and it's really piggybacking off Doug's point from a few weeks ago after the embarrassment that was the Michigan game.
Yeah,
you know, if he loses a home playoff game, I think his ass is on the street.
Yeah, I mean, if he had beaten Michigan and then lost a playoff game, I think he's safe. But I think, if they lose,
if he
this
loses,
game,
he's dead meat. Done.
Yeah, he's gone. If he loses this home playoff game, along with he hasn't beaten Michigan ever or once.
He's lost 4 straight years.
I don't know.
I think he beat him once.
So now he's what, 1-3, 1-4 against Michigan.
He's 1-4.
Yeah, I mean
With the
that
way
is
this season has gone, it's atrocious for him. I mean, you know, I'm
Considering
sure
they
the Powers
they've
have lost faith in him.
they've spent $20 to $25 million, depending on the source you use, on this roster. But the one thing you can't buy is toughness, and they don't have it on the offensive line. They don't have it on the defensive line, and that's where games are won.
Yeah.
Period. And Tennessee has a ferocious defensive line. And all you have to do is look at the Oklahoma game and the Alabama game. That D line, just in its base set of 4 down linemen, can get after your ass. And the other thing that is going again, as Bob already mentioned, the offensive line, so I won't reiterate that. But the other thing that's an issue, I'll be frank. Ohio State thought they upgraded the quarterback position with Will Howard. They downgraded. That guy's not very good.
I agree.
He's not.
He's not terrible, but he's certainly did not perform as well.
But Ed, look at the
year.
talent they have at the wide receiver position.
Sean, I'm not disagreeing with you.
He can't find. He couldn't hit water if he fell out of a boat.
If Tennessee's defensive line forces Will Howard to win the game, he won't do it. Even with
He
the weapons
definitely will
that he
not
has.
do it. Nope, he will not do it. If Tennessee can get 4 down linemen to get pressure and drop the other 7, there's no way Ohio State's winning this game. They're not going to be able to run. They're not going to be able to run the football. They've proven they can't do that. So even though they have a great tailback that they paid a lot of money for from Ole Miss, but yeah, they can't run the ball. They're not a physical football team.
Game for Ohio State. It is absolutely.
It is a must. I agree with Bruce. Yeah, I mean this is a Ryan Day save your job game.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So, Nikki, what's your thoughts?
It's not the best matchup for them.
I think they both should lose.
Love you, Nick. That was good.
Like there's no way I want to cheer for either one of these teams. I'm still mind blown that Day was up as a finalist for Coach of the Year.
That was nuts. Well, Nikki's bringing up an off-season segment that we need to bring up, which is the lunacy of all these individual awards.
Who would even put him in there? Like, who has he paid to try to save his job saying, well, I was a finalist. You can't fire me.
I don't care if he wins the Vince Lombardi Coach of the Year award. That guy's out on the street.
It's insane.
I think so too.
And to listen to, I get mixed with, I've trolled their groups, OSU's groups, just to see. And it's about a 50-50. Some are so eat up with him that he is like God's gift to Ohio State. And then the other half is like, we should have fired him 2 years ago.
And the ones that want to hold on to him go, well, look at his record against everyone else but Michigan. And I go, the reason you're the Ohio State coach is to beat Michigan. That's why you're there.
You're at any other school, Florida being one. Let's talk Florida. We lose to FSU, Georgia on a consistent. You're not going to last.
Yeah, you're not there. You're
no
not there.
chance. We watched it with Auburn. Oh, Gus is gone. He can't beat Bama. We've watched it with every team in the SEC against their rivals.
Auburn's an anomaly because they've never really beaten Bama. So I think that is a fallacy that their fans hold on to. You've never beaten Bama. You won't beat Bama. Unless you literally resurrect Vince Lombardi from the dead, you're probably not beating Bama because even some of Bama's bad coaches have beaten Auburn.
But they're trying to find that coach to be able to beat them. Like, you have that team that is on your mind all season. And
what does that do? They like last year, they lose the week before at home to New Mexico State. How stupid is that?
How awesome is Diego is back?
That is awesome.
But if you're Ohio State, you say that you got out coached by a rookie head coach at Michigan. I mean, he literally got out coached in the game, in the Michigan game. They were resolute at Michigan. He was going to stay with the run. He was going to trust his defense no matter what. and he stuck it out and beat Ryan Day.
Michigan basically telegraphed their game plan to Ohio State, and Ohio State was like, it's like they didn't want to accept that this is what Michigan is going to do. Well, no, they're not going to do that. They're going to no.
That was our
only.
That was the only way we could win.
Yeah, and they did it the whole game, and even into like the second half, Ohio State's like, oh no, Michigan's going to change here. They're gonna change their philosophy, and they didn't. They stuck with it the whole game, and it worked. And kudos to Michigan and Sharon Moore and his staff for
day that we have seen this whole time. He does not make the adjustments that needs to be adjusted.
No, he doesn't. Win a game. No, he doesn't. I mean, and I think he's going to get out coached by Heupel
that's what
on Saturday night.
Heupel has no issue making adjustments, and if it means pulling a player, if it means changing plays in the middle of a call, he has no issues doing that. We've watched him do it all season. That's the only. God, I hate giving Tennessee any props, but between him being able to make adjustments, if he gets up there and Ohio State's not what they have been, which I can't see them changing anything because they never do.
No.
But he's going to change to make it right. He has a defense that's going to be able to go after Ohio State's offense with no issue. I can't even just say Howard, their offense. Yeah. There's not going to be a player that's going to be able to keep his hands on that ball without one of those big boys on him.
I think Ed said it best. This is a terrible matchup for Ohio State. Terrible.
Now Columbus is 91 miles due north of here, guys. And I'm telling you, the weather here is wet and nasty and fucking miserable, right? If you ever liked a mud football game in your life, you're going to get it.
That's what everyone's talking about. They were showing films of our pictures and videos of Columbus. I'm like,
I mean, the only thing that can save Ohio State is if they get, because the one thing you can say about Ohio State that is a strength is their secondary. And if you get a bad Nico game, like when he played against Arkansas, that would work in the favor of Ohio State.
See, that's the only reason that I could see Tennessee losing is if it depends on what Nico shows up. We've watched him make some pretty bad mistakes this season.
I don't think Heupel's going to start the game off trying to have Nico win it with his arm.
No. I think they're going to try to run the ball. And I think they will have success running the ball.
Tennessee's punter is going to be the MVP in this game. Right?
Yeah, so Bob's absolutely right. That's a recipe for success for Tennessee, because if you force Ohio State to play the length of the field, play field position, and Tennessee's got a hell of a punter. He's got a leg on him. If Ohio State has to start all of their drives behind the 20-yard line consistently, I just can't see them winning this game, having to play that stuff. They want that, the wins they've had this year against, other than the Penn State game, and I played Oregon close. But the wins they've had, the other teams make mistakes. Ohio State gets a short field and they cash in. Tennessee's not going to do that. They're going to make you earn it every freaking yard.
If I don't believe Heupel's going to take big chances, he's going to punt it because he knows he's got a great punter. He's going to put them deep just like they did against Oklahoma, and he's going to keep them deep on their own end of the field so they can't make mistakes like holding in the end zone and bullshit like that. And it's going to cause Ohio State to make irreparable mistakes. That's what I'm.
Because Ohio State doesn't have the patience to play those 80, 90-yard drives. They don't. They don't have that patience.
Tell us the score, somebody.
27-17, Tennessee.
All right.
0-4 overtime. No,
what you got, Nikki?
I said 0-0 going into 4 overtimes. No, I actually have Tennessee in this game. I'm going to say Tennessee 27, and I'm going to say Ohio State 21.
Well, I got Tennessee 30-17.
I have Tennessee 24, Ohio State 20.
Bruce?
What you got, buddy?
Oh, I got 32, 20 Tennessee.
All right, so everybody has picked Tennessee up to now, and I just want to say that the stage is set. Ohio State loses this game. There's a good chance that Day is not going to be the coach of Ohio State in 2025.
And Doug's going to make it a clean sweep by taking the Vols because it just means more.
Let's keep going though. The stage is set, like I said, and this would
Doug,
be
come on,
this would be huge for Tennessee. It would.
You got to pick, Doug. Come on, man.
I'm picking. Give me Ohio State 27, Tennessee 24.
He couldn't do it.
So I have a question. If Tennessee wins the game and we think that in that event that Ryan Day is gone, is there a chance that he officially resigns?
No, he will get fired. He will get fired.
He ain't gonna resign because if he does, it'll be because they told him to resign and they've already agreed on a buyout.
Yeah,
that's what I mean.
You don't resign unless you know like they're going to give you the buyout, but you make
that's what I said officially.
Yeah.
No,
Now,
I think off the gates after.
He's not just going to quit and walk away from the money.
No. I mean, the perfect coach for Ohio State is out there. I don't think he's taken an NFL job yet, even though he's leaning NFL. That's his druthers. But the guy, if they want to bring toughness back to Columbus, that's a late hit. That should be flagged. Yep. That's easy.
That's Mr. Mike Vrabel.
Mike Vrabel is the guy. Exactly, Ed. Mike Vrabel's the guy.
Yeah, I agree.
Here's hoping Vrabel takes an NFL job.
Yeah, I mean, he'll probably take an NFL job, but I mean, if you're Ohio State and you lose this game, you fire Day, you write a blank check to Mike Vrabel. He's an alumnus. He knows toughness. You watch. They will start finally recruiting offensive linemen and defensive linemen because that's how you win football games.
Yeah, I agree. And more tight ends.
Yeah.
Because that's Ohio State. How they've got to win that conference, in my opinion, is they've got to have power football, 2 tight end sets. I mean, sure, the spread has been big for a long time, and it's been exciting. But like I predicted several years ago, and Landon scoffed at, eventually power football would have a resurgence, and now it has. But even though they're in the shotgun formation, they're still running heavier sets. They're even the run pass option is prevalent. So it's a new day now where you literally have to physically dominate the other team. And they tried to recruit in order to get the kind of athletes that could outrun the SEC, and the SEC outsmarted them and went back to power football.
Yep.
Unless you're Kentucky.
Yeah. Well, they went to power football. They didn't succeed at it, right?
But that's okay. Kentucky gets to start from scratch.
Well, we thought they were going to, but I guess Stoops is still going to be there, Bob. What do you say about that real quick?
I say that Kentucky's going to be dismal next year for one very simple reason. Because he has to rebuild the team in the portal, his inability to have a team ready at the beginning of the season is going to be particularly egregious, right? So when you lose over half the team, and some of them are like near All-American quality linebackers and defensive linemen, and you lose those guys and you reload, and you already have a history of not having a team ready at the beginning of the season, Kentucky can start out 0-5.
Wow. The only thing I can say to that, Bob, is that, and I think Washington was a perfect example. If you can get the right players out of the transfer portal, 7 guys can change your whole team.
Oh, absolutely.
You guys pulled some good ones.
Some teams can be changed by one player.
Yeah. That's a beautiful point. I'll tell you why. Because we looked at these linebackers at UK as being near All-American quality, and they all hung on for several years as a group with a few additions in and out, and we expected them to dominate the SEC, and they didn't do it. So you're right, Bruce, in the effect that you're going to get that change, and it's possible one way or another you're going to get that change, and hopefully it goes the direction you're talking.
Yeah, it can happen, but
I mean, Kentucky has enough money where they should not be at the very bottom with hanging around with Mississippi State, in the
And the
SEC. There's
coach,
enough
what
money
he's
in.
getting paid, what he's making, Stoops is like the third or fourth highest paid coach in the
Yep.
SEC.
But you guys are pulling in some pretty big portal players the last 2 days. Some pretty good
Oh,
guys.
the offensive linemen look good, and they brought back an offense. Eric Wolford, formerly from several Alabama schools, they brought back Errol Wolford to coach the offensive line, so that's a good sign. And that's where they have one in the portal. And the truth of that is Kentucky wants to play a physical style, and they want to dominate the line of scrimmage, and that's where they've failed the last 3 years with the death of John Schlarman is on the offensive line, and that's where they were winning. And I mean, like this year when they had a quarterback failure. In the past, they would have been more creative. And, like, for example, I don't know if you guys remember when they put Lynn Bowden in as a quarterback and run
I
it 8
remember
times.
that. Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Yep.
Well, because they had an offensive line, the guy ran for 2,000 yards in like 6 games.
If you have an offensive line, you can do anything.
You need another.
Whether you want to run the ball or pass the ball. It all starts with the offensive line. It really does.
Yeah, that's the real core.
Out and
agree.
find you another hefty lefty. There was no quarterback like him.
I love that guy, man. He had so much heart, and he had the biggest arm I ever seen in college. I mean, y'all can scoff, but Jared Lorenzen's arm in college was fucking a ballistic missile, dude. I mean,
Nikki, we would also accept the Pillsbury throw boy.
Yes. Yes. And he went on and played. He played some arena ball and stuff. He was awesome.
He was a Super Bowl champion. He was Eli Manning's backup on one of those Giants teams that won the Super Bowl.
I loved him.
Gone far too soon. We love
Yeah.
Jared Lorenzen. Shout out to Jared Lorenzen for sure.
But if you that player, like that player, he had the heart, he had the passion, and you guys are bringing in some good portal players. But he was a leader, and that's what a lot of these teams right now are missing because of the portal is that leadership, that player that is playing for the name on their jersey, not the name on the back.
I'd say that, Nikki, that's 20% of the players are like that now. I think it's on the out. It's 80%. What can you do for me? And for years it was the other way around. It was, well, you're here, and if you don't like it, you can hit the road, and good luck to you finding somewhere else. So I mean, I get that there are maybe modifications to where we're at right now, but let's be frank, the players make the game. And I hear people are complaining about NIL, about transfer portal, but tell me this season hasn't been one of the most exciting seasons we've ever seen.
It has.
Absolutely, hands down.
I love
I've watched football for 55 odd years now, and this was my favorite year of all time. Absolutely.
The only year I liked more than this was probably 2007 when we saw so many teams hit either number 2 or number 3 and then lose. But this year would rank right up there. And I think you have to attribute it to transfer portal and NIL. And the gripe, I think people, recency bias is a big thing. But you don't forget the recent past where people were complaining it was basically 4 teams every year.
Absolutely.
It was Georgia, it was Clemson, it was Alabama, and it was Ohio State.
Yep.
And they're all in it this year.
And see, I love the portal. I love the NIL. I think these players should, as much money as they bring to these schools, they should somehow be making something. I've always said my whole thing with the passion is gone.
We don't go to the stadium because they're doing a math contest. We go to watch great football players make great football plays. That's football. And the players are 90% of that. You can, coaches are important. Strength and conditioning is important, but it's the players that make the game.
And see,
that's
I
why.
love we have player.
I somewhat agree with you, Sean. And this is really a discussion for one whole segment that we should sit down and discuss, because I think coaches in some ways are equally more important, because you got to have the coaches to coach them. And when I've seen now, we've gone through a whole series of Mr. DeBoer, who was instrumental in developing our program, walk away from our program and totally devastated it. So you can equally say athletes are important, but coaches equally so.
But Bruce,
you guys got a
in
good
football,
you
X's
got
and
a
O's
good
are very
coach to
important.
replace.
But you don't win X's and O's without Jimmys and Joes.
Well,
You don't.
I'm not disagreeing with you, Sean. I absolutely agree with you.
But I certainly agree with you. Like
it's sympathetic.
I would like to see stronger ramifications for coaches who. At one minute they pledge their support to said university, and then the next day you see them out the door going somewhere else.
Well,
I don't think
Jake Dickert with Wazoo did that yesterday. Adios, I'm going to Wake Forest, and left Wazoo high and dry.
That's got to be it's got to be embarrassing to have your coach leave and go to Wake Forest.
Like what you're saying, Bruce. Look at the Marshall situation. Their whole team entered the portal because of their coach.
Totally agree. It's really
so if it
sad.
wasn't for their coach.
Well, look at Indiana, and I know Ed loves Indiana, but that's basically James Madison.
Yep.
Ryan said he brought all those boys.
Yep.
He brought a lot of those guys that are doing great for Indiana, and good for them. But he took those kids from James Madison. Now James Madison has built that program up enough where, they're sustainable. They won their bowl game the other night. But you're absolutely right, Bruce. When a coach leaves, that can really handicap a program.
Oh,
it
God.
Destroyed Marshall.
We lost 52 players after DeBoer left. 52. How do you recoup from that?
Y'all didn't do too bad of a job, Ed. You really didn't.
Nikki's absolutely right. It's embarrassing is what has happened. It's terrible to see what happened to Marshall. They're the Sun Belt Conference champion, and they had to abdicate their bowl game because they lost 40 players to the portal. I mean, that's ridiculous.
And it's now, and then not just the portal. They just lost almost all.
If DeBoer would have stayed at Washington, he would be in the playoffs this year because he had the players to do it. Once DeBoer, that was out the door.
But I also karma comes back to these coaches some way, somehow. I do look at it. Marsh, he left. He's going to Southern Mississippi, right?
Yeah.
So they're the
Why
worst
make
in their
that
conference.
move?
Because he wants to try to take the players. Because not only is he taking the players out of the portal from Marshall, they lost all their recruits too.
Huff wanted more money mid-contract. What happened was Huff wanted more money from Marshall mid-contract, and Marshall didn't have it, and so he bolted to Southern Miss, who offered him more money, even though it's really a lateral
tough job, though.
Yeah, it's a lateral move, really, as far as the program.
But they told him that they would add bonuses. See, they didn't just screw him over. They're like, we can't afford it, but we can add in your contract bonuses for this to try to equal out through the season. He didn't want that. He wanted a lump sum.
And Huff was a Marshall alumni. Huff was a Marshall alumni. Marshall gave him a chance to be somebody because he had been on the staff of Pruitt, right? Another Marshall legend. And they won the conference championship, and now they're out the bowl money. They really need that bowl money. And this is the difference between, say, Washington, like Bruce is talking about, and a small program like Marshall. So if you're bigger schools or another school and you raise a small program, and then they can't go to their bowl game, they lost the bowl money, so now they can't compete in NIL. And it's all they can do to field teams like that and put them across the country. The Sun Belt Conference is pretty far-flung. These expenses are way more relevant for Marshall than they would be for, say, Alabama or Washington or Miami. So it's a huge blow to the program financially as well. So that was a huge deal. And I think the easy thing is to close the portal at a different time. I don't know, because the problem, you got classes after the first of the
Well,
year,
we
right?
could do
Yeah,
that
that's the issue. Is
bowl game.
you have some colleges and universities that are on the semester system, and you have some colleges and universities that are on the quarter system. So you have to be enrolled in the classes to be there. And that's why some of these guys or gals, if it's a women's sport, are leaving once that portal opens because they have to get out of the school they're at. You know, you're talking logistics here of moving. You know, say you're at Washington, you want to go to Marshall, you got to leave Seattle, Washington, and get over to Marshall and enroll in classes and, you know, get into your dorm or whatever, etc. So it's a challenge. It certainly is, and I mean, the biggest one we've seen here is the backup quarterback for Penn State. You know, James Franklin's freaking out about it, and it's like, I don't blame the kid. You know, he's trying to position himself for his best opportunity that he sees fit. But going back to the coaches, I think they need to have, like, you can't leave
Yeah.
until your bowl game is done. You know, do right by the kids that you recruited to that school.
Absolutely.
And I also feel that the same thing applies to the coaches as it does the players. You are coaching for that team, not the name on that paycheck. Open your eyes. So maybe Marshall needs to do it. Randy Moss said it when he left. Bring in someone like Chad Pennington. Bring in someone that has the roots of Marshall right now and try to build this program the correct way.
Yeah.
Quit getting screwed over.
And real quick, prayers to Randy Moss, beat cancer,
Yes.
Moss cancer.
Yes.
Hope Randy is doing well wherever he's at right now.
Hell, I'd even like to see him survive and come in as the coach at Marshall. It'd be a big deal. And anybody that thinks Randy Moss is not a smart guy is a fool.
No,
Well,
Randy's
very
awesome.
smart.
Well, they
Very
asked him,
smart.
why don't you go coach him? And this was before he announced. And he said, no, I think we need someone like Chad that has that.
I think
Marshall
Chad Pennington
on
would
him.
be a great answer for Marshall. I
It
do.
is. And he's been coaching high school ball. He loves it. But then Cole went into the portal.
Yeah, but
What about Leftwich? He was high on the radar of NFL teams for a head coaching job.
That's a great point, Ed. That's a great point. Yep.
Oh, Leftwich.
The problem you have right now, to take the coach argument off the table for just a second, is this is sort of, and Bruce and I have talked about this a lot in the summers when we talk about Major League Baseball. You have the have teams and the have nots. And once you hit that portal, programs like Alabama, like Michigan, like Texas, if they want a guy, they can get a guy because they can outspend a San Jose State, a Fresno State, a Northern Illinois, a Marshall, a Coastal Carolina. You know, so you're creating basically now a feeder system for these bigger programs. When they need a guy at X position, you name it, and they see one at this group of five, or even you even go down to the FCS level, because we've seen that.
We're seeing a lot of that, actually.
And they'll grab this because they can pay them. You know.
Well, one answer to the question is putting a cap on NIL across the board, that all teams get so much money to play with in NIL, and no other team can outbuy another team. And then you have somewhat a cap and a border on it.
But Bruce, the hard part about that is then agreeing on the cap, because Michigan, which just paid, Ed can talk to however much they paid for Bryce Underwood. Rumor is $10 or $11 million.
And that's what I'm saying.
Like a Fresno State, $11 million might be as much as they could spend.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. Somewhere there has to be a cap that manages and all team can go in on, rather than
No, there's a legal problem with that. The legal problem is in the court case for NIL. The actual court case language is meant for an individual, so there's no restriction on an individual making all the money he can. So
Well,
the
that's
only
why
way
the overall cap on the team is like I hate to say it, bringing the point. Oregon, they got unlimited resources. Texas, unlimited resources. So and it's not really the university; it's their boosters program also.
And
So you
you're
got
going to have
And
legal issues with an NIL cap.
most of these booster programs, because of the court rulings, are going away now because of the legality. Where basically the court just said, I think it was Tennessee that was part of that litigation, said basically the schools can now pay the player.
They have their own collective.
So the school now, you don't need these off-campus
I hope
booster
they do
organizations. You just roll it into the university, and you basically say, I want this money spent on this sport for players or for facilities, et cetera, et cetera. And so finding a common ground of a salary cap, and I would add, you got to add coaches into that, because for example, I give a great example. Now it hasn't worked out for him, which we all love, is Brian Kelly, who has a team that has a chance to go to the college football playoff, leaves Notre Dame to go to LSU because they write him $100 million check or whatever it was.
That's insane.
You know, where's the salary cap for the coaches? Because now that's the other thing, Bruce. You were just talking about coaches, leaving these programs. There needs to be a cap for what coaches can, because otherwise they're going to keep leaving.
Well, I don't necessarily think a cap on the coach what they can make, but I think it's the cap of what money that the coach that from one school to another gets. Okay, if you go after someone else's coach and he's a top tier coach, that university that lost that coach will be compensated at a higher rate because he's more valuable than a lower tier coach. So I look at that.
And these are all things that the NCAA should be doing, but they're not. They're not doing it. And this is why we need some sort of czar, a commissioner, you might say. And everyone wants to badmouth Roger Goodell of the NFL. But there needs to be somebody that can sort of be the czar for college football, because otherwise you're going to continue to have this schism between the haves and the have-nots.
Right. And that's what we're trying to eliminate, that I see this year in the last 50 years has slowly diminished.
Yeah, but these large state programs, these large state schools are not going to let go of their hegemony, right? They've got amazing amounts of power and influence because of all the money, and it's going to be hard for, just like it is in the game itself, it's going to be hard for any school that's not near that top tier to break through the level of influence. Though there may be some outliers where there might be particular alumni in Congress or whatever it is. But I absolutely agree with you, Sean. But look at the way we're talking about this. This is how much the game's changed in the last few years due to NIL and due to the transfer portal.
Oh, Justin Herbert, you are dandy. You are What a throw.
Here's my thing. We love what it's doing for football, bringing everyone to a more even playing field. We're watching.
Nikki's absolutely right. So I would rather stay where we currently are, because here's a great example. Florida State this past offseason spent a bunch of money on a transfer portal, and where did it get them? Where did it get Florida State? They're
in the
2-10. 2-10.
But
you got the money. The school has the money. We love what it's doing, but we also love the old school passion of these players playing for that school. So why not do like SMU? SMU does not pay individual players. Each player on that team makes the same amount and gets bonuses per wins, per this, per that. So they play their ass off. Do it like that instead of you don't have an individual player making 20 million. You all are making the same thing and you're playing for the same reason.
Oh, what happened, Sean?
The Chargers made the 2-point conversion. They're leading now 27-24. And it just goes back to Justin Herbert being incredible. He's just
Isn't he?
You
He's
know, the
living
only
life
thing I
right.
can say to this,
All right, guys, I got to go and
yeah,
watch this NFL game. So
The worst part of this, I hate the Chargers are my rival but my team stinks. We all know that the Raiders are trash. But the worst part of it is, I'm happy for the Chargers to see them finally doing well. But Ed's probably laughing his ass off because now I have to root for a Jim Harbaugh coach.
but the only thing I can say in closing, real quick, guys, is that it's all great and dandy for football, college football. I think what's happening is really, but what's really downstream affecting college sports in general and athletics, I'm talking golf, tennis, everything else. Those teams are being decimated and they're really being hurt by it because all schools now is shoving all their money to football programs and screwing the rest of them. And it's destroying. And college was supposed to be meant to be that for the amateur athletes and golf, tennis, and all that. Also,
It's definitely a form of economic warfare, and and where we're seeing it most right now. And I know there's people on this podcast that are very happy about this, but I think some of us are not happy about it. I mean, the SEC has taken their economic power. And not only are they, there was no debate about them being the best football conference, but for years they were a moribund basketball conference. But for Kentucky, everyone knows Kentucky basketball. That's never going to change. But now they're the best conference in college basketball. Like, there's only one reason why they're the best conference right now in college basketball, and we all know why. They can buy the players.
But
they
they're
can
also
get the best players.
And the coaches.
And the coaches. Yeah.
They're filtering that NIL to softball, baseball. I'm watching Florida's tennis pulling in portal players and winning in tennis, volleyball, you name it. They are filtering this money throughout their whole athletic program. At least I know they are at Florida. I know. Look at
Well, that's why it was so great to see. Did you see who won the women's soccer national championship the other night?
No.
The mighty Vermont Catamounts. The Catamounts of Vermont.
Kentucky won the rugby.
That's awesome.
Yep. And then and women's volleyball will not feature an SEC team. It's Penn State, Nebraska, Louisville, and I forget but it's sad. But
Pittsburgh. We lost out.
But I mean, in men's basketball, you'd be lucky. You'd have usually Kentucky, Alabama, and Arkansas would be the.
And now look, and I can say this firsthand. We used the portal and we used our money, and look at Florida's basketball.
Yeah, Florida's having a hell of a year. You guys have a great team, but I mean, other than the Billy Donovan years, Florida basketball was not
nothing.
Yeah,
Long Kruger.
And that's what gets me.
And Long Kruger, very good point, Dr.
They
Balls.
have found a way to filter money, and if other schools could get into that same, we're seeing Bama now with baseball, softball, basketball.
But I mean,
pretty much.
I look at SEC men's basketball right now. I literally think, and Dr. Balls, you tell me if I'm wrong on this. I think every team is going to get into the tournament.
Look at Oklahoma.
Yeah, I mean, even Oklahoma's killing it, I mean, so the only team I don't think that might not get it is actually surprisingly Texas is probably the weakest link. And that's not saying much because they still got a winning record.
Yeah.
But it would not surprise me
baseball, softball.
College baseball's already done. I mean, that's basically the College World Series is an SEC tournament.
But it's growing to more SEC schools. We have Kentucky that was competing to get in last year. That has not happened.
I think that's a problem. I know not for the SEC fans that listen to this cast, but that's a problem you're gonna lose. You're gonna basically need to have everyone in SEC territory watching these things. Because, again, it all goes back to television dollars. That's what drives this whole thing. if you lose the other 3/4 of the country, at what point does it become financially feasible to really
Well,
give a
like
shit?
I said before, you
That's
need
why
a
the Big East is important, Sean. In basketball, the Big East is hugely important just because of that, right?
you need a
Especially
committee.
the down here for the ACC.
All right, so guys, we got great conversations for future podcasts here. We really do.
We're keeping Doug up. Sorry, Doug.
Ed,
We love you, Doug.
Ed, are you still awake, Ed?
We still love you.
Yeah.
Ed.
Yep.
Ed's gone, man. Ed's dead. Zed's dead.
Wait, hold on. No, he's still here.
He's still there. He is.
There
We
he
hang
is.
on back, Ed.
And he's back.
I'm awake. I'm awake.
All right, parting
All
shot.
right.
Ed, you get the parting shot.
All these wonderful ideas that were talked about for changing college football, I don't see happening.
All right, let me go ahead and get one too. Fuck them Vols.
Oh,
Yes.
wait. Ed's just mad because he laid the points with the Broncos.
God damn it, Ed.
Oh,
Fuck your team.
I don't bet on pro football. It's too difficult.
All right, everybody count down. 3, 2, 1.
Smacking off the podcast. Fuck your city, our boss. The college sports authorities.
Thank you for supporting Smacking Off the Podcast. Make sure to stream in every Friday at 9 p.m. Eastern Time for an all-new live cast.